your immediate past chairman of the Republican Party of Florida. Carole Jean, you are a very impressive woman. I was reading your biography. Here's what really stood out to me. Now, if I took Carole Jean's name out of this, I'll admit, probably assume that the Republican chairman was a man, if I had not read her name. And that's terrible. But as I read this and I thought, wow. So they had a $3 million debt. The Florida party had a $3 million debt. Not only did she pay it off, she paid off the mortgage of the George H.W. Bush Republican Center in Tallahassee. She oversaw millions of dollars and raised and expended on behalf of candidates in the last election. But here's the real phenomenal part to me. I get goosebumps thinking about this. She broke all state party fundraising records during the 2004 and 2006 election cycles. I'll tell you what, you cannot raise money, you cannot get people to part with their money without having a very effective message. So with that, Carole Jean is going to share some of her experiences with messaging, and hopefully, I know, will give us some great advice on that.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for being here with us. Isn't it absolutely awesome to have Fox in the house? We don't go to hotels that don't have Fox on their TV. I mean, that's part of our operation, and I just count our blessings for Roger Ailes and Mr. Murdoch and the people that started it, and you and your people that make it an everyday part of our life. And I know it's not been easy. And oh my goodness, they just pick on them, don't they? The other networks, they're always slamming Fox. It's like you all are the stars, so they have to pick on you. Karen talked about some of the, and I'm going to be really short because I would much rather answer some of your questions, and I'm going to be real brief. But I want to say kind of what Karen talked about, and that is we raised and spent probably in the election cycle $80 million. Tremendous amount of money to get out a message. We got our message out on Fox. We got our message out in newspapers. We got our message out on radio shows, radio talk shows. We printed brochures. We delivered placards to you all. We had you all doing all the things, the bumper stickers, the this, the that, and the other. But the most important component, I believe, of getting our message out is each and every one of you. And I don't say that to patronize. I just truly don't mean to be that way, but I just don't believe there's anything any more important in this day and age. Taking nothing away from national television, taking nothing away from the media that we do spend so many dollars on, print or otherwise. I just believe that the component that's going to take us back to the White House, that's going to bring the Congress back, is each and every one of you, because it comes from your heart. You can do things one-on-one with your neighbors, with your friends that you run into the grocery store, with the enemies that you run into because you wear an elephant or you wear a bush pin. You can do more to change perceptions and to talk about who we are and what our core beliefs are than that $80 million we could spend over and over and over. And I say that because I always try, when I go places, and I was saying that we did a seminar with Joanne Davidson in Nashville, and we were talking about message. And, of course, most of the people in the room didn't know me, so I told my story. And most of you have heard it because I've been to all of your counties. But I talked about people ask me, how did you get started? How did you get involved in politics? You know, you're the state party chair. Where'd you start? Somebody asked me, you've heard me, to come to a club meeting. Would you please come to the Republican Women of Indian Rivers club meeting? But she didn't just ask. When I said, oh, yeah, I'd like to do that. Well, fine, I'll pick you up. And she picked me up. And she delivered me to the front door of the place where we were having the club meeting. And someone else was at that door and shook my hand when I walked in. And she said, welcome. And she never, ever let go. And I say that, I say it lovingly. Many of you knew her. She was our state committee woman. And both those people and other women in that organization were always there for me. And they'll always be there for you, and you were always there for them. And I just think that's such a tremendous part of what we do, and we can't ever get away from it. I'm a grassroots. I'm a grassroots aficionado. There is nothing more important than building our base. Whether it's building our base in elected officials like Gail Harrell sitting in the audience, or building our base in our clubs. I was devastated when we had our split in our Republican women. But I knew the strength of the Republican women, as Governor Bush did when we discussed it. And we just knew it was going to come out, it would be all right, that we'd work it out. And here you are, at your summit, doing awesome things, stepping forward, doing just more and more exciting things. And I just go back to who I am and how I got here. I got here on the backs of a lot of women that had been there before us. The women that are there to take your hand and to make sure to be your mentors. Carole Carter, I served, Carole was state president, and I served under her as in several positions and never hesitated to call her as I moved up the chairs or as I moved into other positions for advice, because you all are always there. She was always there for me, and others were. And I think it's about leadership, and you are the leaders. It's about mentors, and that's what you all do best. And the training that you do of these young people that are coming up, that are coming out, the teenage Republicans. I hope every county has a teenage Republican club, because when you do, they're ours forever. I've always said, I know teenage Republicans now that are 40, I think. And when they've been a teenage Republican, they're ours forever, and they're yours to train, and they're yours to guide, and they're yours to help. Because I tell you what, when that lady called me and asked me to come join a Republican Women's Club, I didn't know what our core values were. I didn't know what our principles were. I didn't know all the things that we believe in. But each of you and each of them taught me those things. So it's a tremendous, this organization, our party organization, is a tremendous structure of message. And it's message financially when we get it out over the press, but most important is message when you talk to somebody one-on-one and you teach them how to be you. Whether it's up in the Panhandle, where you do such an awesome job, reaching out to fellow Asians, to somebody that's in agriculture, to somebody that's in high tech, to be an example, as Gail is, of a state representative who does a great job, but won that seat, and she happens to be my area. And I saw Gail run for office. I saw her lose once. I saw her go right back in her red tennis shoes. And, when she ran and walked door to door in red tennis shoes, it wasn't quite so fashionable to walk door to door. You didn't have all the lists provided to you as you do now. But I saw Gail go door to door in those red tennis shoes, work hard, and win. And again, that's the example. That's the leadership. That's the mentoring. That's the example of how we can get the message out. This is going, a lot of different directions. But I always like to say where I came from, because I think I got where I did on your all's shoulders. And I always have to tell that during the time I was state party chair, I would be introduced, no offense, to a gentleman by somebody, and they'd say, "It's Carole Jean Jordan, the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida." And I cannot tell you how many times a gentleman would look up at me and say, "The whole state?" Remember Alice Freeland, and remember what Alice said. Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, backwards and in high heels. That's the message.